and welcome back to Darvanalee Designs Studio. For those that don't know, my name's Nicole Reed, and today we are working on block 7 in our foundation paper piecing block of the month series. The block is called Whirlpool, and this is the block here. You can see it's an absolutely stunning block. It's a very quick and easy block to put together. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is you need to head over to our blog and grab your layout sheet and your template pieces, and they're all over there with everything that you need as well. You're going to need your fabric that you've been using throughout the series. You're also going to need some quilting rulers, hand press, a quick unpick just in case, a rotary cutter, some pins, some scissors, and I'm just using a little bit of template plastic like I always do. Alrighty, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to get our templates, which I've already cut out off camera, and we're going to get started. Okay, so we've got template A and template B, and you can see here that the template B has the lighter grey part on it, so that is our red fabric, and on template A we are going to be putting a piece of black fabric, and the rest is, for my background, I'm using white. So I've got all my scraps put aside from my previous block, so I will have a bit of a rummage through there and see what I can pull out. And as you can see, I've got a piece here that's big enough for the black. I've also got some white pieces, and that's the beauty about paper piecing. You can just use up all your little bits of scrap as well. So you can see here that I've got quite a number of pieces that I can use. Finding some red, and that should be enough of the red, so we can get started on that. So like we do in the previous blocks, we just basically take one of our templates, and you can see here that A1 is over here, and that is a white piece of fabric, and this is going to connect to A2. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take template A, and I forgot to mention before that you also need a glue pen as well. So all I'm going to do is just flip that over and put a little bit of a dollop onto A1, just like so, and then get my first piece of white fabric, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to place that on its corner there. That's going to hold that in place for me. And I'm going to just flip that back over, and then I'm going to get my piece of template plastic and pop that onto the solid line, and then bring this back here and then pop that up against there. And I can see that I don't actually have enough of 1/4 of an inch here, so I'm just going to have to readjust that white fabric, get a little bit further across, and again grab my template plastic, pop that on, and then grab my ruler. And you can see here this is an add 1/4 ruler, and you can see it's got a little lip there, so that can just butt straight up against the paper there, and I know that that's 1/4 inch. I don't have to worry about any sort of measuring, and I can just cut that straight off. And then I've got my perfect 1/4 inch, and I'll leave a link down below where you can get that from. Going to flip that across, and then I'm going to get my next piece of fabric, grab myself a pin, pin that in place. Then I'm going to head over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch on that solid line there. So make sure that your fabrics are facing right sides together as well. Okay, so we've sewn that into place. Now I can lay that flat, put that across like so. Now my fabrics are facing right sides up, and I can get my little hand press, give that a little bit of a press, and now I can add my next piece on. So I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to get my template plastic and pop that just there, pull this back, grab my add 1/4 ruler. Now we're ready to add our next piece on. So again, that is a white piece, so I'm just going to grab my white fabric again, put it into place, and head over to the sewing machine and stitch on this line here. Okay, so we've sewn that into place, and now I can press that down with my little hand presser. Going to flip my piece back over, and now we're going to add our black piece on. So again, we get our template plastic, we line that up on the solid dark line there that's dividing the two colors, pull the paper back, grab our add 1/4 ruler, pop that up against the paper, grab our rotary cutter. So we've cut that, we'll flip that over, grab our black fabric, line that up with our 1/4 inch that we just cut, and again pin that into place, head over to the sewing machine and sew on that solid line. We've sewn that into place, flip that over, get a little hand press, and now we're going to trim up our template. So you've got your 2 lines there, and you're going to line up on that outer line, and you're going to just trim that excess paper and fabric off, and then your template will be ready to go. And the same across the top here. And there we go, our first part of the template is done. So that's template A, and then we're going to move on to template B. So remember some of the tips that I've given you. You want to shorten your stitch length. If you've got a light box, then use a light box to see what you're doing, and make sure that you leave a little bit of an excess around the template so you've got that little bit of wiggle room there, and cut your fabric pieces a little bit bigger. Okay, especially if you're new to foundation paper piecing. So we're moving on to template B, and all we need for this is red and white fabric. So the 2 center ones are actually going to be red, and the outside pieces are going to be white. But that might be different depending on what you're using. You can see there that I've already trimmed it down. So basically my first piece of fabric is going to be a white piece of fabric. So that piece there looks like it's going to fit perfectly. So I can flip that over, grab my glue pen, just put a little bit of a dollop there, and then line that up onto there, and I can see that it's going over that line by a fair amount, so I'll know that I've got a 1/4 inch there. I grab my template plastic like I always do, place that onto the line, bring that back, grab my ruler. Okay, so now that I've got my white fabric on there, I'm going to put my red fabric on, pop a pin in there, making sure that the right sides of the fabrics are touching. Then I'm going to head over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch on that line just there. So we've sewn that in place. Remove the pin. I'm going to scoot that on over there like so. I'm going to grab our little hand presser, again flipping over. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add our next piece on, again lining that up, popping a pin in, and then heading over to the sewing machine and sewing that down. Okay, that's sewn into place. I'll give that a quick hand press. I'm going to flip that over, and now we'll add our last white piece on, and then we'll be ready to assemble the final block. Okay, so we've got our white piece. We're just going to pop that on there like so, and head over to the sewing machine, making sure our right sides of our fabric are touching, and sew that final seam there. And alrighty, that's it. Our last piece is on, and we can now trim this piece up, getting rid of all our excess fabric, remembering to put the ruler on the outer line, and just trim up your little template piece. Okay, so we've got our layout sheet here, and we've got all our template pieces. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to turn them all over so you can see all the letters on the back. So I'm going to put, I've got A and B that need to go together, so I put down template A, and then this is template B, and next I want C and D. So it's C and D. Then I want E and F. E and F. And then we want G and H. We want G and H. And there we go. And that's what our layout's going to look like. So you can see there that it matches up with the layout sheet. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew these quadrants together. So I separate them now, and then I place them on top of one another, so A and B together, and I line up my center seams and grab my pins, making sure that everything that needs to line up is lining up. And I'm pretty happy with how that center seam is lining up. And then I can pop a pin in there. And if you need to, add a pin down this end as well. Just make sure that none of your fabrics have curled up or anything like that, so all your raw edges are lining up. And the same with this side too. You can see there that all my raw edges are lining up. This one's just scooting down a little bit, so you just want to make sure that that gets up there. And then pop a pin in. And then all you're going to do is you're going to stitch on that solid line. Okay, so I've stitched on that solid line. I can remove my pins now. And we open that up and you can see that that is lining up all really nicely how it's supposed to be. So I can set that back down where it was, and then I'm going to repeat that for each quadrant. Okay, so now we've got our 4 quadrants done. What we need to do is we need to add this one to this one, so they just get laid on top like that and lining all our seams up, and the same with the bottom one. And once you've lined all your seams up and nested all your seams, what you're going to do is you're going to put your pins in that you need to put in, then you'll head over to the sewing machine and you'll stitch down that side, and then we'll add the 2 rows together. Alright, so now we just need to align these together like so and put in the pins all along where our seams are going to meet up, and then stitch along that, and our block is done. So our block is all together. We just need to give that a really good press and set that aside, and that is it. That is block 7 done. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. I really do hope that you enjoyed making the whirlpool block. As you can see, it was a very simple and easy block to put together. It's a very stunning block, and I could just imagine a whole quilt done with this. It'll look absolutely amazing. So if you like this video today, give us a thumbs up down below, hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon beside it, and that way you won't miss out on any future posts. And for those that don't know, my name's Nicole Reid, and this is Darvanalee Designs Studio, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye for now.